What's up guys, it's Noah here. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're doing another chess recap of a game that I played a while ago, and I thought I played pretty well. And I'm getting back up to where I was around 900 before. I'm about 875 right now, so I just wanted to show you all this game. Also, I'm testing out a new mic setting, a new different mic sort of setup, I guess, for my desktop. So let me know if you guys like it and think the sound quality is a little bit better than it was. So yeah, let's get into the video. All right, so we're here. I'm playing with the black pieces against Al2Ard. I don't know. I don't know what that name's supposed to be, but I have the black pieces, and they start out with e4, and I go with the Caro-Kann defense. Normally, when you play the Caro-Kann, white comes. White can either take and I take back, or they can push this pawn forward. It just depends. It's an opening that you can play. And they take, thinking their pawn is guarded, but in reality it's not, because I just have the queen here defending. And this is called the exchange variation of the Caro-Kann, when there's a pawn here, and the E and C pawns are traded. I bring my knight out, and then I bring my second knight out, and yeah, I'm playing good moves. Pinning the knight to the queen, and I have my knight out, and my knight's not pinned because I haven't put this pawn in the middle yet, so I'm pretty much chilling right now. There's two moves here. They can either stop my pin by pushing this pawn, or they can stop the pin by bringing their bishop, and they bring their bishop. I now bring my pawn forward, allowing the pin, but also just guarding this pawn, and they now kick out my my bishop, and I'm attempting to damage their structure or just trade off my bishop for the knight. I now bring the other bishop, pinning it to the king, and they try to kick it out, and I want to keep this bishop now. And what I probably should have done in this situation is, when this pawn came, drop this bishop back to maintain this sort of this long range scope of my bishop, because this is not the worst scenario for my bishop, and if they push this pawn, I have this long diagonal that I can attack when I drop back a second time, kind of inviting my opponent's king's pawns forward, right? Like, these are the pawns that are going to be in front of their king if they castle short. But instead I took, and they took back, and then here I should have taken instead of dropping my bishop back, because the only thing that my opponent can take back with here is the pawn. I don't take, and I don't damage their structure on the queen side, and they push a pawn, and now I drop back. And it's not the same, because I don't have this long-term scope, because this pawn is here, right? Whereas on the other side, I would have had this long white diagonal to attack. Now I only have a shorter black diagonal because of the pawn. The computer wants me to push this pawn here because it doesn't like what the knight can do jumping in here long term. But I'm not too worried about that. Neither of those places are really extremely concerning to me. It's just a lot of space that I'm giving up with the knight being there. Yeah. The opponent castles after I castle, and now I push this pawn. And I'm not entirely sure why this is a blunder. Because if you take, I can take, and I'm not really in that bad of a spot. I guess I blundered this pawn here, because now this pawn isn't really guarded because of this pin on my queen. My opponent doesn't take the pawn. If they take the pawn, it's just a free pawn, because, like I said, I can't guard this pawn anymore, because like I can take back, but I can't guard this pawn anymore outside of my queen, but it's already attacked by the bishop as well. So I kind of blundered a pawn. My opponent takes the pawn back, and they take my I believe that's my knight. Yeah, so they trade bishop for knight, and I kick the knight out. And now this position's a little bit better. I do have doubled C pawns, which is kind of funny, because my pawns used to be on B and D, but now they're both on the C file. But now I have an open B file for my rook long term, and I also have an open D file, assuming I take this pawn here, which I definitely do. Then knight drops back. The computer actually wants the knight to move forward, but it's not that big of an issue. It's just a space sort of problem, because again, I can't take this because of the pin still, so I really need to move my queen out of the way. I try to kick the bishop out, And I push this pawn here, attacking the knight. And these two pawns are super strong. If we go into here, we see that the computer evaluates the position as minus 6.8, which is ridiculous. These two pawns are just stupidly strong for me right now. Even though this pin is here, and I am +2 in material, it's only 2 pawns, but the 2 pawns that I have are ridiculously strong. And now I get out of the way of the pin, and I attack a lot of stuff, right? I hit the bishop that was pinning. I hit the knight that is now jumped into the middle. I guard this knight from this just in case they ever want to try to damage my structure, which is what the computer actually wants. They want this trade and force the queen out of the middle. They move their knight, but I'm not really concerned because now if you take this bishop, 1, my rook gets opened up, and 2, my pawns are now back. My pawns would be in, connected again. C and B pawns are very strong, especially with C and B pawns ahead of them. Like, this would be a very, very strong advancing structure. Also, you're still just leaving your bishop to be a target. I go take it, and now I'm +5 in material, and I just have to convert the position. And the computer wants this absolutely baller move here. Queen G3, and it actually can't be taken because of this long-range pin of the bishop, which is ridiculous. I didn't see this in the game. I attacked the rook instead. Now I'm looking for different sort of mating nets and squares. I want to bring my knight to here, I think, which is what I do next. And I force this swap of the queen. I force this, literally the only move for my opponent here. Well, let's take a look at this. So if I go back to here and I take this pawn instead, the only move for my opponent is out here to this square, because this pawn can't move, and so it's just an absolute disaster. Then I slide over, and the opponent's only move is, I believe, back to this square. Yeah, it's a long-term disaster for my opponent in this situation. But if I go back, and what actually happens is I take this pawn. Now when I jump my knight in here, what the computer actually wants is again to do this move so that I can, then king h1 happens. And then after that, I would slide my queen over, give a check, and they would go back. And only now do I bring my knight in. Because now there's absolutely no way to stop mate or swap a queen, or to stop a queen swap. And now I'm 2 pawns up instead of 1 pawn up. What happens in the game is I only end up 1 pawn up. Now I bring my knight. Now we get the queen trade. And now the knight comes back. And I can still take this pawn. I should still be taking this pawn, which is actually where most of my accuracy goes down. I didn't see this long-range bishop pin. The opponent takes my pawn here. And yeah, I should just be taking this pawn, I should just be taking this pawn, because now this is mate in 4 now that this rook is gone. I just drop out of the way of the rook. Again, my opponent blunders, and I bring my rook over again, because again, this is where I'm losing a lot of my accuracy points. This pin is here, but I don't really ever see the pin. I go and double up, and I finally I don't see the pin still, but I go and take with check. Now this is here. They block with the rook. I bring my other rook in, and yeah, it's just and now I fork the king and rook, and it's not good for my opponent. I bring my queen. I trade rooks. I take the knight, and now I just do cleanup. Push this pawn up the board, make a second queen, and then just a simple ladder mate. But yeah, it's just my mid-game plan. If we go back to move, let's go back to move here when the opponent castles. Yeah. After this move, my play was very, very sound. I get exactly what I want. I kick the knight out, and I get these 2 super powerful pawns that just cannot be taken by anybody whatsoever. And then as soon as this bishop comes back, I see this. Okay, well, this is under attack by 2 pieces now. And then before, you can't take this because you can't take this on this turn because I just hit your bishop and I take it. So now I see this really powerful pawn structure in the middle of the board that's supported by the queen. And I push, and yeah, and this move was really strong as well, because sometimes it's scary to put your queen out in the open like this, but just the scope that the queen has of the board in this position is just ridiculous. So yeah, this is a really good move. And yeah, the cleanup process was slow, but I don't think I was ever losing this game, just based on the material advantage that I had. And then obviously my opponent could have resigned here, but they forced me to checkmate them. I just pushed this a pawn all the way. So yeah, this is a shorter video. I just wanted to show another game that I've been playing. My most recent one, actually, that put me up to 875, I believe, something like that, is it was like a forfeit. My opponent kind of lost lost a bishop inside like 5 moves and resigned. So a little bit of tilt there for my opponent, but yeah, this is where I'm at in chess right now. Just a little update of where I'm at, and my long-term plans kind of keep getting better, and yeah, just keep playing some chess and keep learning what I can. Update on the channel soon. Hold on a second. Update on the channel for the future. I'm going to be playing more Pokemon. I really like the current competitive format, so there will probably be a video out sometime in the next couple days with me playing Pokemon on the Switch. I really enjoyed the new Series 9 format without the legendary Pokemon. It's one of my favorite ones that we played. So I'll probably be playing that soon. I'm also probably going to be playing Pokemon Snap soon because it looks super fun. So yeah, just wanted to give that little quick update on my channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. See ya.